On Monday, the S&P 500 reached to the point from where it was supposed to come down. However, the 6299 and then the 628X, these two levels managed to save the S&P 500 from coming into a heavy bearish condition. But sustaining and closing above 6299 does not mean that there will be a heavy bullish movement, because on Monday itself the S&P 500 failed at the zone, at this very heavy, very strong resistance zone. This means that this zone will now be very heavy in a manner that you need to be careful. Means my Patreon community members, you need to be careful, because the zone is a very strong resistance and a sudden fall or intraday fall can happen. That is why the S&P 500 lost at the zone, and the zone was 6333/37, and it came down, and the 632X failed to hold the fall. It came down, but it managed to close above 6299, my heavy support level. Next day also S&P 500 was struggling, but then in the third or fourth hour it came up. Then in the fourth hour it gained, or it regained the 6299 and sustained, and then closed above 6299. On Monday and on Tuesday there were two consecutive closings above the 6299, and this happened for the very first time. That is why there were bullish sentiments, and this was supposed to push the S&P 500 in the 6300 range. However, on Wednesday there came a news that there is a trade deal with Japan, and that has pushed, or that has helped the S&P 500 to move above or to breach this small zone. And only because of the news S&P 500 managed to breach and move above the zone. Otherwise it was struggling for initially for 2 to 3 hours. And because the closing on Wednesday was above the zone, this means that more bullish movement will now be there in the S&P 500. Yes, there was one thing, that this bullish movement was supposed to keep the S&P 500 below 6400 mark, okay, because 638X was my heavy resistance level, and any bullish movement will be limited and restricted to the 638X. So a movement above the 638X was not expected, was not anticipated at all on Thursday. Yes, because of the bullish momentum, the S&P 500 was allowed to trade in between the 636X level and the 638X. And the same logic was applicable to yesterday, wherein any bullish movement will remain limited to 638X. And even if the S&P 500 breaches the 638X resistance level, okay, then that will be by a few points only, and then eventually it will fall back, it will retrace back, it will fall back to the 638X. And exactly the same I mentioned in the midday update to my Patreon community members yesterday. Because if you notice, on 30th of July, the Fed's, the FOMC decision will be released, and also the projections will be released. So next week will be heavily volatile because of this mega event that is there on 30th of July. And because of this mega event, the S&P 500, Dow Jones, Nasdaq, all of these indices are going to get 2 days. And I am going to discuss all of that in detail in this S&P 500 weekly technical analysis, which is for the week of July 28th. So guys, if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the bell icon. And if you want to get these daily precise updates of the S&P 500, Dow Jones, and in a manner to the entire US stock market, then you can join my Patreon community. I have given the link in the description of the video and also in the comment section. Now guys, let me tell you that I have divided this S&P 500 weekly technical analysis in 3 parts. First part is the weekly chart. I will show you the weekly chart, the technicals and everything. Okay. Second part is the daily chart. Daily chart means the short-term picture. Okay. Weekly chart means the long-term picture and the trend. Third part is the probable movement. In the third part, I will give you the probable movement, means whether it will remain bullish or it will come down, it will trade bearish, or what will be the tiebreaker, etc., etc. in this, the probable movement, the last section. And also guys, it is recommended that you should watch all of these 3 sections in order to understand what is going to happen in the S&P 500, in the Dow Jones, in the Nasdaq in the next week, and why that will happen and how that will happen. Now I am going to discuss the first part, that is the weekly chart. Now guys, this is the weekly chart. Weekly chart means one candle represents 1 week, not 1 day or 1 hour. Okay. Now let's first discuss this, the last weekly candle of the S&P 500. Now this last weekly candle is a heavy bullish candle, indicating bullishness, bullish sentiments, okay, everything bullish, and also because the closing of the candle is around the high of the candle, and because also yesterday on Friday the S&P 500 made an all-time high at 6395.82. okay, so because of these factors we are now expecting a gap up open on Monday, or irrespective of any open and initial or intraday bullish movement on Monday, and also profit booking conditions will be there on Monday. This profit booking I will discuss in detail in the last point of the agenda. Okay, so this condition, but the profit booking will be triggered or can be triggered only if there comes a gap up open. If there comes a little gap down open or something like that, in that case profit booking might not be triggered. Okay, so a gap up open, then only the profit booking condition will be there. Now let's discuss the last candle of the Dow Jones. Now this, the last weekly candle of the Dow Jones, is again a heavy bullish candle. However, in this the current bullish run, the closing of this weekly candle is above the closings of the previous candles. That is why it is indicating an initial or intraday bullish movement on Monday. A gap up open is not confirmed, but an initial or intraday bullish movement on Monday through the Dow Jones. So now the candles are confirming, okay, in both of these the cases, S&P 500 and the Dow Jones, that on Monday, irrespective of any open, there will be an initial or intraday bullish movement. Okay, and the S&P 500 and Nasdaq are in a condition wherein we are also expecting a gap up open on Monday. Okay, so bullishness, initial or intraday bullishness or a gap up open, right? Now this will be more clear through the technical indicators. But guys, before that, if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the bell icon. And so far, if you have liked this video, then hit like to appreciate, and your appreciation matters a lot. And if you want to get these daily precise updates of the S&P 500, Dow Jones, and in a manner to the entire market every day from Monday through Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, then you can join my Patreon community. I have given the link in the description of the video and also in the comment section. Now in terms of the technicals, the S&P 500 is bullish through the Bollinger Bands, also through the moving averages, also through the Ichimoku cloud on the weekly chart, and the S&P 500 is also bullish through the MACD on the weekly chart and also through the stochastic RSI on the weekly chart. And the S&P 500 is not saturated, okay, the divergence is not heavy, okay. Only thing is that it is overbought. Okay. However, in the next week, if the S&P 500 try to move up and it remains bullish, okay, let's say on Monday and Tuesday it remains bullish, then the weekly candle, okay, on Monday and Tuesday will be, okay, of that kind. If it remains bullish, then most likely the S&P 500 is going to hit the saturation and also the divergence, heavy divergence on Monday, okay, or by Tuesday or before 2 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesday. And if all goes well, and if the S&P 500 sustains and closes as green by next Friday will be August 1st, okay, in that case definitely by that time S&P 500 would have hit the saturation and the overbought. Then in the next week, okay, that will be the week of August 4th, okay, S&P 500 will be in a condition to come down and to give up heavily. So technically the S&P 500 is absolute bullish. The S&P 500 is 100% bullish. Okay. Dow Jones. Well, Dow Jones is in a very, very interesting condition. But before that, Dow Jones is bullish through the Ichimoku cloud and also bullish through the Bollinger Bands and is also bullish through the moving averages on the weekly chart. Dow Jones is bullish through the MACD on the weekly chart, and the stochastic RSI is a little bearish, but it is still in the bull side, so means it will be considered as neutral. Okay, neutral but still bullish. Saturation is not there, saturation overbought, okay, or these divergence conditions are not there. So the Dow Jones will now be considered as, you can say, like 90% bullish on the weekly chart. Dow Jones is 90% bullish on the weekly chart. S&P 500 is 100% absolute bullish on the weekly chart. What does this mean? This means that the market has the potential and is in a condition to trade and to remain bullish. Okay, on Monday and Tuesday, the market will get 2 days, at least 2 days, Monday and Tuesday. And although the saturation is there on the lower level charts, daily charts, overbought condition is there, divergence condition is there, but because the S&P 500 closed above the 638x level yesterday, okay, because of that and because of the reason that on 30th of July the FOMC event is there, all of these conditions are indicating that even though it is saturated, it is overbought, the divergence is heavy, but still the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones and the entire market can sustain, can trade bullish. And now you must understand one more thing, okay, and that is the all-time high level of the Dow Jones. The all-time high level of the Dow Jones was 45,073.63. 45073.63. This was the all-time high of the Dow Jones. Dow Jones was trying to hit or test its all-time high, but it failed recently. It came down. Now it is again in a condition, it is trying to hit and test and breach the all-time high. Now because Monday and Tuesday are there, Dow Jones is very near to its all-time high. Dow Jones is in a condition that as early as on Monday, okay, within the first half, okay, Dow Jones can actually test, hit and breach its all-time high, that is 45,073.63. okay, and if there comes a gap up open, then that will be most favorable condition. Now what happens when the Dow Jones breaches the all-time high 45,073.63? Then there will be more bullish sentiments, okay, because that the Dow Jones has breached. Earlier we have seen that it was the Nasdaq and the S&P 500. Both of these indices have breached their previous all-time highs and are trading beyond or above their all-time highs. The Dow Jones was lagging behind. But now when the Dow Jones also breaches its all-time high, then there will be more bullish sentiments. However, there must come a closing. Whenever the Dow Jones breaches the 45,073.63, then there must come a closing above this 45,073.63, because if the Dow Jones breaches its all-time high but fails to close above the all-time high, then the bullish sentiments will be there, but not heavy, not much, because then it can indicate that that we are expecting some reversal or some fall in the market, okay, in the short term. That is why one closing above the all-time high and then it is free to move up further, okay, more like 1% more movement, okay, so that will be fairly possible. And if the Dow Jones struggles to move up, Dow Jones fails to test, breach or hit its all-time high, okay, or it breaches the all-time high but closes below the all-time high, then what will happen to the S&P 500? The S&P 500 will try to get the support, okay, at 638x, okay, and even if it loses the 638x, then 636x is there. So S&P 500 will remain in a condition to trade and to remain around 636x, 636x and 638x. But guys, whatever is going to happen or whatever will happen, I will keep you posted through these daily precise updates of the S&P 500, Dow Jones, Nasdaq, and in a manner to the entire US stock market through these daily precise updates which I give to my Patreon community members every day from Monday through Friday. And guys, if you have not yet joined my Patreon community, then let me tell you that I give these daily precise updates to my Patreon community members every day from Monday through Friday. Before the open of the stock market, I give the pre-market analysis, okay. Then after 3 hours in the session around 12:30 p.m. Eastern time, I give the midday update. Then 1 or 2 hours before the closing of the stock market, I give the final update. So I give all of these every day from Monday through Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But that's not all, because I also give the stock market opportunities in the premium stocks of the US stock market. Okay, minimum 5 to 10 opportunities every week, means top 30 or 40 companies of the US stock market. These are the premium stocks. And this is not all, because I also give the S&P 500 mid-week update. It is generally given every Wednesday. Okay, and in this, the midweek update, I tell my people, my Patreon community members, with the exact numbers, exact zones, exact movement. Okay, it will come down, then move up, or it will move up or come down, etc., etc., through this midweek update. So guys, whenever you want to join my Patreon community, in order to get all of these, the daily precise updates every day from Monday through Friday, the stock market opportunities and the midweek update, then I have given the link in the description of the video and also in the comment section. And guys, when you follow that link, then you will see that this is my Patreon page and this is my Patreon profile. And here you will notice there is a button, see membership options. Okay, when you click on this button, the see membership options, then you will see that there are these 3 levels: level 1, level 2, level 3. Okay, level 1 and level 2 are same, and you will be getting all midweek update videos, daily SP500 analysis, updates, movement, levels, zones, stock market opportunities, everything. In the level 3, you will also get exactly what you are going to get here. But other than that, there will be one Zoom meeting, and you will learn the hacks, the modified technical indicators, the options, premium calculator, the options strategy, and everything through this, the Zoom video meeting, one-on-one Zoom video meeting. And guys, if you notice, many people have joined my Patreon community for last many days, weeks, months, years, and they are getting these daily precise updates every day from Monday through Friday. Pre-market analysis, midday update, final update, stock market opportunities, midweek update, everything. So guys, whenever you want to join my Patreon community, in order to get the same, then I have given the link in the description of the video and also in the comment section. You can follow that link, you can join my Patreon community, and you are welcome. Now guys, I am going to discuss the second part or the second point of the agenda, and this is the daily chart. Daily chart means one candle represents one day, not 1 week or 1 hour. Now let's first discuss the candle. If you notice, it's a normal bullish candle. It's not a heavy bullish candle that was seen on the weekly chart. It's just a normal bullish candle. Okay, open was 6370 and also the low was 6368.53, and the high was actually the all-time high 6395.82, and the closing was 6388.64. Okay, now because the closing was above my calculated resistance level, and also the S&P 500 made an all-time high yesterday on Friday, and also the S&P 500 did not come down to fulfill its obligation that was there because of the Wednesdays and Thursdays closing. All of this indicates that the S&P 500 is bullish in a manner that on Monday there will be an initial or intraday bullish movement. A gap up open cannot be confirmed. An initial or intraday bullish movement. Now Dow Jones. Last daily candle of the Dow Jones, it's a normal bullish candle. And the only good or recognizable thing is that it sustained at my strong support level. That's it. All of these 3 days, 1, 2, 3, 3 days. Okay. This means that again there are some bullish sentiments, so initial or intraday bullish movement on Monday, but a gap up open, definitely not. There will not be. Yes, through the S&P 500 there may come a gap up open, but through the Dow Jones, no gap up open. Okay, so now this means that the Dow Jones and the S&P 500, through all of these are conditions, there will be an initial or intraday bullish movement on Monday, and also in the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq we may see a gap up open, whereas in the Dow Jones a gap up open might not be seen. Okay, and you must understand that these 3 indices, they have these are different constituents, different means their structure is different. Okay, however there are some stocks, example Microsoft is the only known stock okay, which is the prime in all of these three indices. That is why, see, yesterday Microsoft, it moved up and made a new all-time high. Because of that heavy bullishness in the Microsoft, all of these three indices were able to move up. Okay, so Microsoft is one of the top primes in all of these three indices. And when we come down to the S&P 500 and Nasdaq, then the other tech indices like Nvidia, Apple, Google, Amazon, okay, those are there, but these are not these are either not present in the Dow Jones, or if they are present, then they do not have that much of weight. Okay, so that is why I'm saying that on Monday, okay, we may see a gap up open in the S&P 500 and Nasdaq, but we may not see a gap up open in the Dow Jones. There may or may not come. However, an initial or intraday bullish movement in the all of these the indices will be there, no matter what. Now, this will be clear through the technicals. So guys, before I discuss the technicals, if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the bell icon. And so far, if you have liked this video, then hit like to appreciate, and your appreciation matters a lot. And if you want to get these daily precise updates of the S&P 500, Dow Jones, and in a manner to the entire US stock market, then you can join my Patreon community. I have given the link in the description of the video and also in the comment section. Now, in terms of the technicals, the S&P 500 is bullish through the Ichimoku cloud, bullish through the moving averages, bullish through the Bollinger Bands on the daily chart. Other than that, the S&P 500 is bearish through the MACD on the daily chart, and it is bullish through the stochastic RSI on the daily chart. Other than that, the S&P 500 is saturated, overbought, and there is heavy divergence. Okay, yesterday the S&P 500 means if it would have closed above 6390, then the MACD would have gone bullish. Okay, and then there would have been 100% absolute bullishness. However, that's not a problem, because on Monday, if there comes any kind of green candle, or a normal red candle, not heavy, just a normal red candle, then also the MACD of the S&P 500 on the daily chart on Monday will go bullish. Okay, and then it will become 100% absolute bullish. Saturation, overbought, divergence will remain there. Okay, and once again, the reason is same. Okay, because on Wednesday there is mega event, so market has the non-technical reasons to sustain at these overbought, saturated, and divergence. Otherwise, technically that was not possible. So in this manner, the S&P 500 is 100% absolute bullish on the daily chart. Now let's talk about the Dow Jones. The technicals of the Dow Jones. So Dow Jones is bullish through the Bollinger Bands, bullish through the Ichimoku cloud, bullish through the moving averages on the daily chart. And the Dow Jones is bearish through the MACD on the daily chart, and the Dow Jones is bullish through the stochastic RSI on the daily chart. And on the daily chart, Dow Jones is neither overbought nor saturated. Okay, there is no problem with the divergence. And exactly the same I mentioned on Wednesday and Thursday to my Patreon community members, that only and only the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq are heavily saturated, overbought, and are trading at heavy divergence, but the Dow Jones is not. Okay, so Dow Jones in this manner is 80% bullish. And the plus point of the Dow Jones is that because it is not saturated, because it is not overbought, okay, and also it is now trading around its all-time high level of 45,073.63. This means that Dow Jones has the potential and the technical and the non-technical reasons to move up and to trade bullish, okay, and to breach and to form a new all-time high. And because the Dow Jones will sustain and will remain bullish, okay, this is why the S&P 500 and Nasdaq will also get bullish support, even though these two indices are saturated, okay, overbought, etc., etc. But because of the Dow Jones, these two will get the bullish support. Because if the Dow Jones fails, then these two indices cannot sustain, cannot hold, cannot sustain. These two indices will have to give up heavily. Okay, not like just 0.5% or so, but 1%, 2%, 2.5%. Okay, heavily. So now this will be more clear in this, the next point of the agenda, that is the probable movement. But guys, before that, I have this information to share with you. This is my S&P 500 knowledge transfer program. Okay. Through this program, I teach whatever I know, whatever I have learned, my technicals, my knowledge. Okay, I share with you. Okay. Through this program, I will teach you the basics and the advanced of the stock market, the technical indicators. I will discuss each and everything. The modified technical indicators, I will help you set up your charts. Okay. Trading strategies, I will share with you the trading strategies, the modified trading strategies, not the usual. Okay. Market analysis, how to analyze the market. Then the options trading strategies, options premium calculator. Okay. These things. Then the support and resistance levels for next 5 years. Then price prediction, how to predict the price even before that is seen. So for example, I have predicted 614x will be the all-time high. It was there. Then it came down. Then I predicted 2x and 479x will be a heavy support zone for the S&P 500, and it will bounce back from there. And it bounced back. Okay. So these kind of, price prediction for the long term, for the short term. Then how to convert the manipulation into the opportunity, or the traps into the opportunities. Then the hacks. These hacks are very accurate, and there is very high accuracy, and I use these hacks in my everyday analysis. And this is my email address, and these are some terms and conditions, and these are the snapshots of the meetings. So guys, whenever you want to participate in this program, or if you have any question that you want to ask, and you want to become self-reliant, okay, for the rest of your life, you want to trade confidently, carefully, okay, without any external support. Okay, then you can participate in this program, and you can ask your question if you have any, or if you want to join. Okay, then this is my email address, and also I've given the link to this Google spreadsheet in the description of the video, and also in the comment section. Now guys, I'm going to discuss the third and the last point of the agenda of this S&P 500 weekly technical analysis. And here I will give you the probable movement, means what is going to happen in the S&P 500, in the Dow Jones, in the Nasdaq, in the coming week, in the week of July 28th. Okay, means from July 28th, which is Monday, through August 1st, and August 1st will be Friday. So Monday through Friday, whatever is going to happen, I will discuss here. Now, so you need to understand a few, very few important things. We have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Monday and Tuesday, there is no problem. Some economic data will be released, GDP data, etc. But that's not a problem, because market is not going to consider any of that data at all, or not even the earnings. Why? Because on Wednesday, okay, it will be the mega event, the FOMC event, and also the SEPs will be released. Okay, this means heavy volatility. So now the Wall Street will wait for this, the stock market, the global stock markets will wait for the Wednesday event. So at 2 p.m. Eastern time, the FOMC decision will be known, and the SEPs will be released. And 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, the press conference of the Federal Reserve Chairman. Okay. Volatility will be there from the morning itself. Okay. And then around 2 p.m. we will see more volatility, sudden up, sudden down. Okay. And then based on the outcome of the FOMC event and the SEPs, the market will give that kind of reaction. Okay. Then the press conference of the Federal Reserve Chairman at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesday. Okay. And if you are my Patreon community member, then make sure guys you are available on Wednesday, especially after 1:30 p.m. Eastern time, because then I will give you frequent updates. Okay, the decision, the SEPs, and then during the press conference of the Federal Reserve Chairman, so that you can make changes to your trades accordingly. Okay, so in this manner it will be there. Now, even after the FOMC event is over, okay, the volatility will still remain in the picture. Why? Because on Wednesday, Microsoft and Meta will post the earnings after market hours. Then the impact of the earnings of these Microsoft and Meta will be felt on Thursday morning. Means again volatility, heavy volatility. Okay, but that's not all, because then on Thursday after market hours, Apple and Amazon will post the earnings, and the impact of Apple and Amazon will be felt on Friday morning. However, on Thursday there will be one more event. Before the open of the stock market, the core PCE and the PCE data will be released. But because the FOMC event is there, okay, just like on Wednesday itself, this means that even if the PCE core PCE data goes against the Wall Street, against the stock market, then still this can be neglected. In this manner, the entire week, especially from Wednesday onwards, will be heavily and highly volatile. Okay, expect sudden rise, sudden fall, sudden drop. But that's not a problem, because if you know the levels, the technicals, the zones, okay, then that's not a problem at all. Because you know that if it moves up, then it can move up to this level. If it comes down, then definitely it will be handled here. Okay, after this, it will be handled here like this. Okay, now yes, now in terms of the numbers and the movement, but guys, before that, if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the bell icon. And so far, if you have liked this video, then hit like to appreciate, and your appreciation matters a lot. And if you want to get these daily precise updates of the S&P 500 every day from Monday through Friday, then you can join my Patreon community. I have given the link in the description of the video and also in the comment section. And these updates will be very, very helpful for you in the next week, because next week will be heavily volatile. Now, in terms of the movement, okay, it all starts with the Dow Jones, because the S&P 500, the movement in the S&P 500 and Nasdaq is now heavily dependent on the Dow Jones. Why? Because if you notice, Dow Jones is now very near to its all-time high. It is like 45,073 will be around 0.40%, very, very near to its all-time high. Okay, so first of all, Dow Jones must breach, okay, its all-time high. The all-time high of the Dow Jones is 45,073.63. okay, it must test, hit and breach, number one condition, because this condition will then bring more bullish sentiments in the market. Second condition, the day, whether it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, doesn't matter, whenever the Dow Jones test, hit and breaches its all-time high, then it must also close above its all-time high, that is 45,073.63. okay, only when these two conditions are met, market will get more bullish sentiments in a manner that Dow Jones will be able to move up further towards 45,400 range. Okay, but at the same time, the the S&P 500 will get the bullish boost to sustain above the 6,400 psychological mark. Without the help of the Dow Jones, if you notice, the S&P 500 is just like 0.20% from 6,400 mark. Okay, without the help of the Dow Jones, S&P 500 will not be able to sustain above the 6,400 psychological mark. Okay, even if it does, then there is my calculated heavy resistance in 641x. It won't be able to sustain, it will come down. Okay, then it will trade in between 638x and this level. That's it. Okay, so in order so for the S&P 500 to trade bullish, to remain bullish, and the Nasdaq to trade bullish, to remain bullish, the Dow Jones must fulfill these two conditions. Okay, what if the Dow Jones fulfills only the first condition? Means there is no closing above the all-time high, but yes, intraday it breached the all-time high and made a new all-time high. This means that definitely the bullish sentiments will be there, but not heavy. For the heavy bullish sentiments, the closing must be there. Okay, so in this, the first case, the bullish sentiments will be there. This will help the S&P 500 to move up further, okay, like 0.5%, 0.4%. Okay, so that will be allowed. So that's not a problem. Okay, so in this manner, Dow Jones is going to work. Dow Jones is going to act or behave. Okay, now, irrespective of anything, 6, 4, 6x, this range 6,406 range, 60 range, okay, or somewhere around this range, there are very strong chances of the potential reversal. Means earlier it was 614x. Okay, it made a high at 6147, all-time high, but in last year October I mentioned 614x. Okay, then in February, after 4-5 months, it made an all-time high here. Okay, so similarly 646x, 6460 range, okay, or around this range, there is very heavy probability, okay, based on the calculations and everything, that the S&P 500 can lose, can come down, okay, and can trade and can start to trade its bearish and then eventually to fall into the bearish cycle. Okay, now there are a lot of factors. Okay, 646x, see, if you understand, if you know, like when I earlier mentioned 614x, the S&P 500 was moving up, but it never hit the 614x. Okay, in January it reached to 612x, okay, or even to 613x, but it never hit the 614x. It was again and again moving up, then coming down for 2, 3, 4 days, then moving up, coming down, and in this manner it took around 1 month to hit the 614x, and only when it hit the 614x, then only it came down. Okay, so similarly there are fair chances, good chances that the S&P 500 might not be able to hit 6460 range. Okay, rather it can come down even before hitting this the range. However, just like what we have seen in January, okay, what was back then in January, it was trading in 612x, 613x, but it was hesitating to move into 614x. Okay, that is why a fall from 612x, 613x was like 2% or 2.5%, and then a recovery, then fall, then a recovery, then fall, then a recovery. Okay, actual fall was seen only when it hit the 614x, right? Similarly, okay, 646x is there are chances that the S&P 500 may try to move towards, but fail to enter into 6400 this range, okay, and gives up in the 642x, 643x, 644x, okay, 645x, okay, because now it is going to meet with the heavy resistance levels which are there even before the 6460 range. So there are very, very good chances, very fair chances that it can even lose even before this. That is why I'm saying next week is or will be heavily volatile. Okay, and these daily updates are going to help you a lot. Okay, because through these daily updates you will come to know that at what level or from what level the S&P 500 can actually come down, okay, before it can hit or before it can enter into the 646x. Okay, this is the range. And also at the same time, if it has come down, then what is the heavy support range? What is the heavy support level? Okay, from where it can sustain and it can bounce back. So now the bullish side is there. Bullish side is limited to or around. This is the mark. Okay, 6460. This is the range. Now this makes more sense because more bullish movement in the S&P 500 means extremely heavy saturation, overbought conditions, and the heavy divergence. Okay, this means that it will face resistance, heavy resistance, when the S&P 500, Nasdaq, these indices try to move up. Okay, this also means that it is that it will be really very difficult to hit and to test the 6460 range. Okay, S&P 500 might spend the entire week and it might not be able to hit or test the 6460 range. Okay, but it will remain in a condition to test this in the next week. Okay, in the middle of the August. The only condition is that whenever it comes down, it must not lose the key levels and the key zones. That's it. Because if it loses, then no, then it might take 1 to 2 months before it can try for the 6,460. Okay, this is the range, just like what we have seen in December, January, February, again and again. Now, whether the S&P 500 will be able to move towards 6,460 range or not, it will be defined by 6,400 642x, this level. Okay, this level will play a very important role in the bullish side and also in the bearish side. Because if there comes continuous closings above this level, 642x, then this means that S&P 500 is in a condition and is ready for the 6,460. Okay, S&P 500 moves up in 6,440, 50, etc. Okay, and fails to hit or test but comes down, then the fall will be initially limited or restricted to 6,402x. That's it. This means that as long as S&P 500 is holding, sustaining and closing above this level, 6,402x level, okay, the S&P 500 will remain in a condition to test this, the heavy zone. Okay, so this can happen anytime, okay, within the week or next 1 month or so. But this is what will tell us, 642x will tell us, okay, whether when exactly or whether the S&P 500 is going to test the 646x or not. Okay, now we have 6-4 this the final, then we have 6-4 this is there in the bull side, and then we have in the bearish side. Now comes the bearish side. Bearish side is 638x. Okay, so if the S&P 500 loses the 642x, okay, or fails to sustain or close above the 642x, not a problem, but it must sustain and close above 638x, just like it did yesterday. Okay, on Friday the closing was 6388.64, because as long as it is holding, sustaining above 638x, this means 642x is open, this means 646x is open. Okay, 642x will act as the strong tiebreaker. Okay, fine. Now this is for the bull side. For the bearish side, situation means, for the bearish side what we know is that 636x is there. This has the potential to hold, not a problem. Okay, but in actual it will be 6,333/37 zone. Although I do not disclose these the zones or the heavy levels, but this zone is very, very crucial, very critical. Okay, so that is why you must know whether you are my Patreon community member or not. Okay, this zone, any fall from here, from here, from here or from here will be handled at or by this zone. The real problem will happen, or an indication of the correction or recession or short-term fall or reversal, whatever will be there, it will be defined by this zone, 6,333/37. Okay, closings, I am talking about the closings back to back below 6,000, this particular zone, means that now the S&P 500 is in the bearish reversal, okay, or it is in the correction state. Okay, it will be more clear on Wednesday through the SEPs and the press conference of the Federal Reserve Chairman and the notes. Okay, the correction, okay, or in the short term bearish trend wherein we are anticipating a minimum of 5 to 10% fall. This cycle, this is small cycle, 5 to 10% fall, this cycle. But as long as S&P 500 is holding, even if there comes a heavy intraday fall like 2% fall, okay, but still the S&P 500 holds, closes above this small zone, okay, this small zone, then in that case it will still be considered as bullish in nature. No reversal, no correction, no short-term fall, nothing, because it is holding, sustaining above this strong zone. Okay, sustaining at or above this strong zone means 2638x. Okay, 642x may or may not come into the picture, 646x may or may not come into the picture, but the 638x will be there. Okay, because the S&P 500 is continuously sustaining and closing above okay, this the small this heavy support zone, right? In term, okay, in this manner. But again, we must not forget that the Dow Jones is there with so Dow Jones is going to play a very important role. But again, you need not to worry about anything if you're my Patreon community member, because I will keep you posted. I will keep you updated through these daily precise updates. Okay, and if you are not, if then you can join my Patreon community, because next week will be heavily volatile. Okay, so in order to join my Patreon community, I have given the link in the description of the video and also in the comment section. So guys, hit like if you have liked this video and to appreciate, and your appreciation matters a lot. And if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the bell icon. And guys, if you have any questions that you want to ask, or if you have any suggestions that you want to give or that you want to share, then you can do so through the comment section.